What's going on, everybody? This is Z Street here back to a brand new video. College football school board week 15 conference championship week is upon us. This was the final week of the regular season. A lot of these games were very important in deciding who gets the playoff, who doesn't, and what seed they get. Now we had a lot of mayhem as I predicted. Let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, North Texas and Tulane. Either one of these teams won, and they're in the college football playoff for the first time in their history. They are a group of 5 schools, meaning they're very, very small schools in comparison to our normal Power 5 conferences like the SEC, Big Ten, etc. So in this year's, the top 5 ranked conference champions get in. We'll get into why that matters in a bit. North Texas and Tulane both had a tremendous year. North Texas had a wonderful story about Drew Westmaker. Walk-on. This year ends up being the leader for passing yards throughout the year. His head coach at North Texas has taken the job at Oklahoma State. More than likely, he, along with all of his star players, will be transferring to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has been in an absolute gutter fall the last 5 years. This new coach is the one who has recruited Patrick Mahomes. He is the one who trained Cam Ward into who he was, and now Drew Westmaker. So he has an eye for quarterback talent, and that coach is heading to Oklahoma State when they desperately need his help. So look for Oklahoma State to make a big jump next year. Anyways, North Texas and Tulane. Tulane also one of those good teams. It's been good for about 5+ years. They've been one of the most successful non-Power 5 teams, and they've beaten some really quality opponents. Little 2 this year, they would take down North Texas 34-21, securing their spot in the college football playoff. James Madison, likewise, beats Troy, handles them easily, and now James Madison, all they have to do was wait for the Duke versus Virginia game, because currently James Madison is ranked. Duke is not. We'll get into that in a little bit. The big game of the year, arguably the most anticipated game of the entire year. The last 2 undefeated teams, the best teams in the nation by a big margin, Indiana and Ohio State. Both teams have been down all year. Arguably, Indiana has been more dominant, but Ohio State has beaten the likes of Texas and Michigan. Indiana has beaten the likes of Oregon. At the half, it seemed like it was a similar situation to the Michigan game, where Ohio State had an interception early in the very first possession, leading to an interception. However, Indiana was unable to capitalize on those mistakes. Ohio State, the bend don't break rule, I say that a lot in my videos. Bend don't break essentially is, yes, the offense is getting a good drive together, but once you get the red zone, you lock it up and you force only a field goal. And it did that twice. Indiana only had a field goal. And Ohio State scored its first touchdown late in the first quarter. And then they got them the field goal, took a 10-6 lead at the half. And again, it seemed just like the Michigan game, where at the half it was close. Ohio State had made some mistakes, but their defense had held strong. What would happen in the second half? Only one team scored in the second half. That was Indiana in the third quarter. They got a touchdown of their own. Ohio State got to the red zone twice. In one instance, it was a 4th and 1, in which they did not convert. Another instance, it was a 27-yard field goal on a 4th and 1 that they decided to go for the field goal to tie instead of go for the win on the 4th down and get a new set of downs. That 27-yard field goal was muffed and missed. As such, Indiana had a big 3rd and 8. They did not complete this. Ohio State would have a good amount of time to go back down the field to try and take the game. Indiana dials up a pass from Mendoza to the white boy, Becker. 30-yard strike, one-on-one coverage. He catches it, game over. Ohio State did get the ball back eventually with only about 18 seconds left, and they could do nothing. Indiana shocks the world. If you guys don't know this, I've said this before. Prior to this year, as in last year, Indiana was the losingest program in the history of college sports. That's right, they had the most losses out of any program ever. And now they are 13-0. They just won the Big Ten for the first time since, I think, 1967. They've lost 30 straight games to Ohio State. This is the greatest turnaround in the history of college sports. This is the greatest coaching job I've ever seen. Curt Cignetti might go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time, even if his success in Indiana is short-lived. This is unheard of, unprecedented type of success. And Indiana has put the world on notice. They are the best team in the nation, and they are the team to beat in the playoffs. Never, who would have ever thought about this? Not I. Moving on, Georgia and Alabama. Also, by the way, Julian Sand and Mendoza were the two Heisman favorites in terms of quarterbacks. I would say it's those two as quarterbacks, and then a player on Texas Tech that's the defender. So this game had a lot of implications on who won the Heisman, and Mendoza absolutely outplayed Julian Sand. I think they both had a pretty decent game. These are both two of the top defenses in the entire nation, but Mendoza made all the right big plays. A lot of big third downs, big key third downs. They put the ball in Mendoza's hands, and he delivered strike after strike after strike, even under duress. That was his Heisman moment game right there, for sure. And I think that Fernando Mendoza is definitely on his way to win the Heisman. If not the Texas Tech guy. We'll talk about him in a bit. Georgia and Alabama. Now, this game, I think most people probably did not suspect Georgia to do this. Alabama did not score a touchdown until late in the fourth quarter. It was absolute wallop, 28-7. Alabama, for the first time since 1955, had their worst rushing game ever. They had negative 3 yards rushing for the entire game and followed 10-3. Georgia gets their revenge for their one loss of the season to Alabama, and they win the SEC for the second time in a row, and are looking very, very different. That defense is unbelievable. I can't wait for, honestly, it would be amazing for Georgia to play one of these two teams. Like, these three teams right here are the best defenses in the nation. It would be awesome if these two teams played up. And I was wondering, like, which of these teams is going to be able to score against their opponent's defense. Insane. Texas Tech and BYU. As predicted, Texas Tech blows out BYU. Now, a lot of people were saying that even if BYU lost this game, they deserve to be a spot in the playoff at 11-2. I disagree. If you look at BYU's schedule, Texas Tech is the only good team they played all year. They played one other ranked team. That's Utah, in which they won. Both times they played Texas Tech, it was 29-7. In this game, 34-7. BYU had 4 turnovers. BYU has they had a great year, don't get me wrong. Their coach is a great guy. But they have no place in the college football playoff at all, period. If they're going to get blown out by Texas Tech, they'll get blown out by Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana. They'll get blown out by so many teams. You put BYU in the SEC, the Big Ten, I would say the bottom half. Great team, don't get me wrong. A lot of respect for the coach. Great story. They did not deserve to be in a playoff. Meanwhile, we go to GameCast real quick. Let's go to defense. 13 tackles for Jacob Rodriguez. 3 interceptions. Ben Roberts had 2. Fumbles. Here. The Texas Tech's best defensive player, who is a Heisman favorite, showed up in that second half. Could we have, for the first time, a defensive player as a Heisman in a very, very long time? Wouldn't mind seeing it. Let's follow it a bit, and let's go to the mayhem. The absolute mayhem. Duke and Virginia. If Virginia won this game, they're in the playoff. If Duke wins this game, very likely that no ACC team will get in the playoff. The only team that could be able to get in would be Miami. So let's talk about it. Overtime. Duke gets the touchdown. Ensuing Virginia drive. Interception. Morris, their quarterback, is a great quarterback. He did say at the beginning of the year that Virginia will be playing for the ACC championship game. Now, probably no one believed him except for his own fan base and his own teammates and coaches. It was quite a shock that Virginia made the ACC championship, as it was a huge shock that Duke made the ACC championship. When you look at the rankings and you look at the head-to-head matchups, they should not have been here at all. We go back. But they make it in, and they win. They win the ACC championship. In fact, Duke is the first team in the ACC to win both the basketball conference championship and the football conference championship. First time since 1977. So kudos to Duke. I am a big Duke basketball fan, so I don't mind when the Duke football team wins. It's a very rarity, but it's really, really cool. What a game this was. It's funny. Both of these games, people were predicting not to be close. Like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is the first good team they played all year. They beat Oregon, whatever." Ohio State's going to prove they're the best team. They're going to wax them. Right here, people thought it was going to be close. Blowout. People thought this was going to be a blowout. I think Take that back. I saw a lot of posts on Facebook and social media about BYU, how they're going to prove that they deserve to be a spot, and they're going to upset Texas Tech, and they're going to keep it close. Nope, blowout. This game, people thought it was going to be a blowout, that Virginia would just wax Duke and right into the playoffs. Nope, they lost in overtime. Now, that being said, normally we have the playoff picture given to us on Tuesday. However, this week, we already have it. It came out about an hour ago, maybe. So, let's check it out. Who made the college football playoff? Look at the bracket. Here are the 12 teams. Let's look into it. We got James Madison in Oregon. James Madison, obviously the last team to get in as the lowest ranking conference champion out of 5. They'll be playing Oregon. Now, a lot of discussing about this, saying that yes, they won their conference. They're ranked. They jumped from I think 25 to 12. Do they deserve to get in over teams like Bama, Texas, Miami, Notre Dame, even BYU? On paper, no. All those teams will probably wax James Madison. Oregon will probably beat James Madison by 28 plus points. That much is almost guaranteed. I mean, it would be the most improbable, unconceivable shock if James Madison has this game close or even wins this game. A lot of you are saying that this is a waste of a space, and I understand that sentiment. However, these teams play great all year. They won their conference championship. They deserve some sort of compensation for it. Now, is compensation in college football playoff? I don't think so. I think we should have the best 12 teams in the nation, period. James Madison is not the top 12 best teams in the nation. Now, if you guys remember New York 6 bowl games, that was back in the BCS when there's only the top 2 would play. Top 2 would play, and then you had the New York 6 bowl games. That's 6 bowl games outside. So now when they have the playoff, I think James Madison should be awarded with playing maybe one of the teams that didn't make the playoffs. Say they could play Alabama if they got picked off. We could say they could play BYU. They could play Texas. They get to play a top tier team on a big bowl game outside the playoff. That's my opinion. But they get in regardless. These two teams will face the number 4 seed by Texas Tech. Bama, a 3-loss team, the first 3-loss team in the history of the college football playoff. You remember it expanded from 8 to 12 this year. It went from 4 to 8 to 12. First team, 3-loss team to get in. Now let's discuss why they got in. Now, the committee decided not to penalize Alabama for going to the conference championship game and losing it. And they get in. As you can see around here, no Notre Dame. They jumped Notre Dame, as did Miami, which makes sense. Miami had a head-to-head matchup. But Alabama not only jumps them, but stays ahead of Miami. Here's the thing. Let's discuss this, of why I do not think Bama should get in. Is Alabama a good football program? Yes. However, the committee has bent the rules time and time again, but they have said that you were looking at a team at the end of the year, how they match up. Let's look at Alabama's end of the year. A loss to Oklahoma and a utter beatdown from Georgia. They did not look like a playoff team yesterday at all. They got their ass whooped. They couldn't run the ball. Georgia scored 28 on them. So why are they in? Because it's Alabama. And they want more money. They want more attention and ratings. A rematch with Oklahoma and Alabama looks a lot better than Notre Dame and Oklahoma. Because it's Alabama, one of the biggest programs of all time. Now let's just also discuss their losses. 3 losses. One of their losses is early in the season to FSU. FSU is one of the worst teams in the entire nation. I don't even know if they won a single, if not, maybe, I think they won one ACC game this all year long. And they're not penalized for it. Meanwhile, teams like Texas, who lost to Florida, who's 4-8. Florida beat FSU. Texas also has 3 top 10 wins. It's the first team since 2019 to do so. They have given A&M its only loss of the year. On paper, and again, the committee has said that they are taking into consideration how teams look at the end of the year, because teams do change over the year. They get better, they get stronger, or they get weaker. Alabama got weaker as the year went on. They got in over technicality because of head-to-head matchups. There was a 4-way tie at the top. 4-way tie. All right. So that means Alabama is not being penalized for its FSU loss, but Texas is. I mean, don't get it twisted, but that sounds like utter bias. It sounds like Alabama said, "Hey, here's some money. You put us in, or else." I mean, it makes no sense Alabama is in here at all. By all the metrics that they've said, Alabama should not be in here, yet they are in here. Again, I'm a Texas fan, so obviously I'm not a big Oklahoma fan. I'm one of those teams where like I want my rival to do good, so that when we do match up, it means more. It's yes, it's nice to beat your like a couple years ago, Texas beat them 49-0. Yes, that's nice, but like it feels more satisfying when you're both top quality teams, top 10 teams. Oklahoma beat Alabama earlier in this season. Hopefully Oklahoma does it again. Oklahoma pushed their shit in. Alabama was a four-loss team, and they proved that they do not deserve the playoff. It's just utter garbage there in the playoff. Utter garbage. Notre Dame and Texas should both be in ahead of them. It's disgusting. One of these two games will play Indiana, the best team in the nation, undefeated, the lone undefeated team in the nation. Good luck to both teams. I don't think either team has a shot against Indiana. Indiana has the best defense in the nation. I think if Alabama wins this game, they'll get blown up by Indiana. I think if Oklahoma wins this game, they might keep it close, but Indiana will pull away at the end. I don't think either team has a chance to beat Indiana. That's my opinion. Tulane and Ole Miss. Tulane moving up to 11. They're ranked 20, I believe. 21, 20 to 21. So they make a 10-point jump in. Again, it's the top five ranked conference champions get in. So Tulane is in playing Ole Miss. Ole Miss lone loss this year is to Georgia. However, Ole Miss will be without their coach, Lane Kiffin. He is gone. Will some of the players just all sides stay and play? I sure hope so. Tulane might keep it close. Never know. They'll be playing Georgia. Now remember, Ole Miss was up by 10 points against Georgia in the fourth quarter, and Georgia came back. Ole Miss could do the improbable and get their revenge on Georgia. I'd love to see that. That would be awesome to see if Ole Miss could get their revenge and make a good push in the playoffs without Lane Kiffin. Number 10, Miami sneaks in, past Notre Dame because again they had the head-to-head matchup against A&M. A&M's lone loss was to Texas, and they got their ass whooped. Now both these teams are pretty decent. Carson Beck, when he's on, Miami's unbeatable. They got a decent defense. They got a great wide receiving core. A&M likewise, decent defense. Their defensive line is very, very good. They have a great receiving core. Miles Reed has had a great year. This is probably going to be a high-scoring game, in my opinion. Here's the thing. Carson Beck is known to make plenty of mistakes. When they played SMU, he had 3 interceptions. If A&M can have a game where they force interceptions, A&M could blow out Miami. However, if Carson Beck plays well, this will be a toss-up. Either Texas blows them out, or it's going to be a very high-scoring affair of both teams slinging it out. And I'm excited to see this game. They'll be playing Ohio State, who just came off a loss in the Big Ten Championship. Now, remember last year, Ohio State was a 2-loss team. It was the first 2-loss team to ever get into the college football playoff, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. But they lost to Michigan. Everyone's writing them out. All the fans wanted Ryan Day to be fired. They go on to win the championship. Now, how will this happen? Again, they're defending their championship. That lost Indiana. What would they learn from it? How would that teach them? Will they become better and make yet another run to the championship? Very likely. So that's the playoffs here. Let's go ahead and go into the rankings. Let's see who's got out. All right. So, AP top 25. They don't have the playoff rankings on here, but let's just look at this. Who got left out? Is there a do bowl game? See who we got. Quarterfinals, yada yada yada. Complete bowl season schedule. They don't have the teams for this one. Some of these don't have games. I want to see. So they don't have the poll here. I don't know why they have the playoff ranking, but they don't have the actual rankings. But Notre Dame is left out. BYU left out. Vanderbilt left out. Texas left out. Utah left out. It's crazy. I personally believe that both Notre Dame and Texas deserve to be in the playoffs over Alabama. It's just my opinion. That's not the way the cookie crumbled. We have our playoff. It's been a great year. Can't wait to see who finishes and wins the championship. I'm personally rooting for Indiana to do it, in my opinion. That's who I'm rooting for. If I had to pick, let's look at this real quick. If I had to pick right here, Oregon's probably going to win it, do it, but it'd be awesome to see James Madison upset. But let's say 5 Oregon versus 4 Texas Tech. Texas Tech, I would like to beat Oregon. And we have Oklahoma. I would love Oklahoma to thrash Alabama and lose to Indiana. And Indiana would beat Texas Tech. That would be an amazing game to watch. Texas Tech and Indiana. Those both teams have great defenses and offenses to pair. That'd be a tremendous game to see right here. Indiana wins. Tulane, Ole Miss. Ole Miss handles business in a closer game than expected, but they win. They then go on to upset Georgia. I'd love to see that. They upset Georgia. They're fighting without their head coach who left them for LSU. He's a piece of shit. He's a traitor. Fuck him. Ole Miss is on the rise, on the move. They upset Georgia. Miami and A&M. A&M puts the world on notice. Carson Beck has like 3 or 4 interceptions. A&M handles them. Goes to Ohio State. And then, oof, good luck. They play them tight, but Ohio State handles business. Ohio State versus Ole Miss. Who wins that game? I don't know. More than likely, Ohio State wins that game. We have a rematch. Indiana versus Ohio State once again. And Indiana, for the second time, beats Georgia State in the champion, beats Ohio State in the championship. Indiana, national champion, undefeated. Let's go. That's it for this video. There's gonna be a lot of talking discussions about who got in, who didn't, who should, blah 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 blah. Hey, whatever. Let's just enjoy the playoff that we got. I can't wait to watch. December 19th. That's 2 weeks off. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe more content. Again, check out my other videos. Star Wars: The Republic has returned in time for the holidays. Gaming videos are back. Hope you guys enjoy that. Also check out my Twitch. I do live stream sports casting, sports commentating. That's doozy. Much better than ESPN. All those other programs, because I actually cuss and I say what I feel. I don't have a bullshit script to follow. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. This is Ether3 signing out. Stay frosty.